Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you back to our second year of On the Level with LINSKY. I'm Marsha LINSKY, a former magistrate, prosecuting attorney, and currently criminal defense lawyer. I'm using On the Level with LINSKY to introduce new concepts and ideas to people that involve the criminal justice system. Tonight, it's my honor to have as my guest Ryan Marsden of Recovery Cafe. Recovery Cafe Fort Wayne is a source of strength, support, community resources, and unconditional compassion for anyone seeking help for struggles in various areas, including mental health, addiction, trauma, and homelessness. It is located at 2423 Fairfield Avenue. Welcome, Ryan. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got to Recovery Cafe?
Yes, absolutely. In a nutshell, I am an individual who has been in recovery for 7 years from substance use disorder, stemming from a pretty long history of childhood sexual abuse. That was just the way that I had learned to cope. But I was able, with the help of a lot of good people and mentorship and therapy, to pull myself out of that and really that's kind of where the Recovery Cafe comes from. Obviously, that's where my passion stems from. And yeah.
It takes kind of, especially in your circumstance, which is not all that unusual, where you have that kind of combination of some mental health issues and then the substance abuse, because you use that to just kind of self-medicate or tamp down.
Yep.
As you said, is that something that you continue to see in others that you help?
Oh, yes. I would say that at least 95% of the population that we serve, I have the privilege to talk to many of them, and trauma and mental health are, the majority of the cases.
Yeah. So how many actually run the cafe?
So we started off with just myself and my wife, and we worked really, really hard. We renovated a space. It was a whole do-it-yourself type of situation where I spent a lot of hours on YouTube and Google. It took us about 6 months to renovate this space. That was a little over 2 years ago, and we've been going ever since. With the support of the Division of Mental Health and Addiction, we were actually able to expand into a larger space this past year, and then also hire two new staff members. So there's four of us now running the joint
very
instead of just two of us.
Very good. So the how is Recovery Cafe funded?
Largely through the Division of Mental Health and Addiction. We also rely on the support of our collaborative relationships with other members of the community, corporations. We have individual donors, and we continue obviously to build those partnerships because the cafe really is a resource for the entire community, and we want that to be. We really, it is our desire that we're all kind of pitching in to keep the cafe here in Fort Wayne as a positive resource for folks.
Okay. Are there any programs that are offered through Recovery Cafe?
Yep. So I will tell you, the entire point of the cafe is to build community. Not just that, though, an inclusive community where individuals can feel safe. So we create a neutral, safe zone, meaning that we do not promote any particular pathway to recovery. We actually operate under the belief that everyone is in recovery from something. So, we're very inclusive in that way. And yeah, so, we're just trying to create a neutral, safe, sense of community for people that desire to be in the space.
Are there any requirements for becoming
Membership.
involved or membership in the cafe?
Yep. So we have the cafe is member based. It's free. However, we have three very simple requirements, and that is just that if you decide to join after a few times of visiting, or a lot of people join their first time visiting, then we just ask one that individuals remain safe in the space, so they're demonstrating safe behavior. We don't like to say, hey, you're not necessarily allowed to be using, because when we first started the cafe, the language, you have to be sober for 24 hours. Well, obviously that's kind of, subjective. So, we didn't want to use that language anymore. So, Basically, you just need to be practicing or demonstrating safe behavior for the sake of the community. That's the first requirement. The second requirement is that you agree to attend a therapeutic peer-led recovery circle. So that just means that we're all meeting with the same group of 8 to 10 people each week in a safe space, and we're holding each other lovingly accountable throughout the week. We ask ourselves 3 different questions in those groups. Every week, it's the same questions. And the first question is, where are you struggling in your recovery right now? That could be from in relationships or in any other matter just regarding our recovery. And then the second question is, on the flip side, where are we experiencing gratitude, gratefulness, or movement in our lives? So then we get to share a little bit about our gratitudes. And then finally, every week we create an intention or a goal for the following week. So you can see how it's all meant to just kind of build this sense of community and growing together, and then that sense of loving accountability. And then the third requirement for membership is just that you agree to give back in some way, whether it's wiping down tables, making coffee, vacuuming, whatever. There's, going and sitting with another member who, might need somebody to talk to, those type of things. So just again, we know that giving back creates, more of a sense of community, purpose, those type of things.
Now, is the Recovery Cafe open 24 hours a day, or are there particular hours for that?
No. I wish we had if you can give us some more funding, we will be open 24/7 or 24/7. But no, currently we're open 3 days a week from 1 to 7 p.m. That's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and with a free meal provided every single day that we're open. In addition, Saturdays we have a sober social event or a community event for folks just to be somewhere safe, during the weekend, get out of their heads and, just create a safe atmosphere for folks. We do something fun. Usually this last week we played games. We do movie nights, we do karaoke nights, we do poker nights, we do, a little bit of everything. And that's everything that we do is really at the request of our members. So, we want to make it their place. So it's again, it's not our cafe, it's our cafe.
That's very nice. Very nice. Yeah. When you mentioned the peer-led recovery circles, what would be the requirements for being one of the peer leaders of that circle?
Sure. So all of our staff at the cafe in general is owned and operated by those of us who have lived or shared experience. And we reflect that through certification through the state as a peer. So all of our staff are trained certified peer recovery specialists.
Okay.
Yep, and we ask the same for those that are going to be leading groups. We may begin to raise member leaders, and because we believe that sense of purpose and empowerment is a huge part of thriving in our recovery, as it was for me, obviously. So that's definitely important to us, and so we identify individuals who have been coming for a while, who have been, demonstrating genuine care and concern for the rest of the community, and their own sense of recovery, and then we will raise them up and then try to get them trained as a certified peer recovery specialist so that they can also do groups.
Is there a cost to becoming a certified peer recovery coach?
So there are 2 ways to become a recovery coach currently in Indiana. One is through the ICATA corporate or organization, and there is a cost for that. It's a great certification. That's the CAPRC, Certified Addictions Peer Recovery Coach Training. Okay. And then there's also the newly developed curriculum. It used to be the Certified Recovery Specialist Training, but now it's the CPSP, so Certified Peer Support Professional.
Okay.
I always have a hard time saying that, but I'm actually a trainer for that curriculum as well, so that helps. But yeah, those are the 2 ways you can get trained. It's about a week-long certification. One has a cost. The certification that I'm doing currently does not have a cost. You just have to pay for the test, and I think both of them are moving more in that direction to reduce barriers for folks.
Very good. Yeah, that was kind of my question, because if you got people coming there,
Yeah.
is there a barrier,
Yeah.
financial barrier to actually getting this advancement.
Yeah, but I will tell you, typically, there's some great organizations in town that if all of everyone I think in recovery has a good understanding that becoming certified as a peer eventually and then beginning to give back is really huge for folks in recovery. So the Drug and Alcohol Consortium, Project Me, Forum in Recovery, a lot of these different organizations are willing to actually provide scholarships and sponsor folks to go through this training. So really, there's been, no real, they've eliminated a lot of that barrier for folks anyway.
That's wonderful. Now, you're also involved with an organization called Rise. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
What is that?
So Rise Recovery is a residential treatment provider. So we actually provide housing for 60 folks right now who are in recovery.
Is that also on Fairfield Avenue, or is that located somewhere else?
Very close. All the organizations, which is very much a blessing to us, are within about a mile of each other. So we have a house over there near the bus stop on Wallace, and then we have another house on Fairfield that's actually on the same campus as the cafe, and then we've got several other graduate houses all within a mile radius of each other.
Is that housing all for men, or is there some women also?
Yes, so at this time primarily men, but we also have a women's home with 8 women residing there currently.
Oh, very good.
Yep.
Very good. How long have these houses been open?
This is also our second year with the housing. So,
Okay. Where did this idea for Recovery Cafe come from?
well, I will tell you, being a person in recovery, as I shared with you earlier, and having experienced so much trauma and mental health issues in my own life, there was a lot of stigma. Some of the, and I think you have a good understanding of this, in your field as well. But I experienced a lot of stigma over the years, and I have a strong desire to reduce stigma, and I do that by, I really want to give folks in recovery a sense of autonomy and empowerment instead of, making recovery or people who are in recovery feel like they're just another number or, there's something wrong with them. I want to see them feel like, empowered, like they have hope, like they're human beings. Because that's really the reality is that we're all human beings and we're all in this struggle together. So if whether you're in recovery from substance abuse or not, or you're going through other challenges at home and you haven't had some of the repercussions, we're all in this together. So that's really where my heart is. I guess there was times when I very much felt stigmatized and discriminated against, and a lot of judgment and condemnation. So the cafe is really a direct reflection of my heart for others, and to have them be able to come to a place where they're not going to experience any of that, regardless of past mistakes or traumas. So it is also good to note that the Recovery Cafe Fort Wayne is a part of a network of cafes throughout the nation. So there's actually the Recovery Cafe Network, which started after the first cafe was formed in 2011 in Seattle. So since then, a movement has really, swept across the nation, and there's over 70 some cafes nationwide. So the cafe was really just an outlet and something that really reflected how I was feeling already. And I just, wow, I want to bring this to Fort Wayne. So, and I was exposed to it for the first time while I was teaching a recovery class down in Lafayette.
Okay.
Yeah, and I thought, man, Fort Wayne, really needs a place like this.
Yeah. No, everything you're talking about, that's what I think sometimes for people who do struggle, not just with addiction, but also with mental health, you have that stigma that goes with it. And that's what causes people to often be reluctant about opening up about what's going on with them and getting the help they need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's hard. If we feel like, that we don't have a voice, that we're not going to want to open up to anyone. If we don't feel safe to do that, then what's the point? And then that oftentimes, leads to isolation and feelings, even, more fuels that feeling of hopelessness, and then ultimately back into the cycle. So yeah.
And that was, I know you work with the JCAP program
Mhm.
also at the Allen County Jail.
Yep.
And that was one of the things I've met some of the people in a couple of the different classes. But there seems to be a very common theme that runs among the participants.
Hmm.
They never realized anyone cared.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's a heartbreaking statement coming from grown-ups, because you like to think there are people in your world, you've got all this support and everything else, but that through the stigma and through, well, addiction pushes people away.
Hmm.
You just get to that point where you're standing on your own and it's very hard to keep going forward.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't understand is, we when we're talking about mental health and addiction, and this is the stigma part of it, is that, we see stories on the news, we see the, TV shows and different, negative things on the media. And so it's easy to have that, understanding or that idea, or even you might even see people out, on Jefferson dancing or something like that, and I think that scares people. And, but the fact of the matter is that, that's someone's reality. And a lot of these people, whether it's, those of us who are struggling with substance abuse or mental health, all kind of clump together. A lot of us individuals, like I said earlier before, like, a large percent grew up, you know, not being loved, not having a voice, going through abuse,
Mm-hmm.
being neglected, having, terrible, terrible circumstances that it's hard for a lot of people to imagine. And then, um, you know, just because their physical bodies grow up, they still have a lot of emotional pain. They still have a lot of the mindset. I think trauma sometimes freezes emotional growth, or stunts that growth. And then, you know, we have a lot of people who just have a lot of healing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, behaviors oftentimes reflect that you know, that internal state.
Do you do you ever have any younger people come into the cafe, or is it adults?
Yes, so we do currently. The cafe is meant for individuals 18 and older, and we have a very broad range of folks within that range. But we're also looking at a pilot program called the Discovery Cafe, which is going to be for teenagers. So we're looking to kick that off here at the end of the year, hopefully. So
Oh,
fingers
wow.
crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Um, with the members of the recovery circle, now your recovery cafe is only open 3 days a week.
Hmm.
If I feel like I'm out there and it's a Monday
Hmm.
and I'm struggling with my Monday,
Hmm.
can I reach out to somebody in my circle? Are the peer coach, are
Yes.
they open to receiving phone calls, contacts outside of work
Yes,
hours?
yes, absolutely. We have a line that you can call at the cafe. Somebody's going to answer you one way or another. But not just that. It's also important to note that we are trying to, outside of those cafe hours, because we only have a certain amount of funding, so we can do what we can do. But outside of those hours, we're also every day we're having a meeting, an AA meeting. We're trying to really fill up our entire week so that there's something always available on that campus there. So just because the cafe is open 3 days a week, there's 12-step meetings. We're trying to get a smart recovery meeting in there. We've got options. There's a 12-step yoga that happens at the
Wow.
cafe. Like I said, my vision for that building is just that there's something always going on, and we're inching our way towards that. So with the help of some community volunteers and people that just want to give back. So,
Okay.
yeah, we just want that to be like a recovery hub here in Fort Wayne.
That's awesome. That really is awesome, because that is so needed. Do you refer any services? Do you refer people out to any other agencies, or?
Hmm. Yep. So there's five major components to the cafe. I talked about building that connection, that sense of connection, because we know that human connection is the opposite of addiction, right? So,
Mhm.
and that's definitely my heart. So there's five ways that the Recovery Cafe fosters that sense of connection. One is through our meal program. So we know that we're eating together. That creates a sense of community, right? During that time, we also take time to share gratitudes before we eat. Take a 5 minutes of silence. We share gratitudes, and then we give people the option to help clean up. And so that's the way to give back. Okay, so that's one of our primary ways that we build connection. The second is our recovery circles. The third is our sober social events on Saturday. And then we have our member financial assistance program, which actually through our partnership with DMHA allows us to offer a certain amount of actual financial assistance to folks for so many months who are coming to the cafe regularly, staying consistent. That we have ability to help them with that. Also, we have a resource specialist. That's one of the two positions that we added, which is amazing. Alexis is our resource specialist. She's a master's level student, also with a background or lived a shared experience with a huge heart for the community. And she has worked very hard to compile tons and tons and tons of resources, and she's not afraid to pass them out. So we make referrals to all the time to treatment, detoxes. We make referrals to obviously housing. We make referrals to food banks, clothing sources, everywhere. So that's a big part of what we do. And then also the space. We consider the space to be, just part of that. So individuals who may not have a safe home to go to, or or whatnot, can come to the cafe and have that, time to themselves where they're just okay.
The housing that's part of Rise, is that the traditional kind of halfway house type living where
Good question.
you sign a 6 to 9 month contract, or can I go there just because I need some short term safe housing?
Good question. So we are traditional but not traditional. So we're somewhere in between. And the reason is I told you that, I'm in recovery, and I spent nearly 3.5 years in and out of multiple recovery houses. So I think that what that looks like is that there's different needs for different people. So there's higher structure, there's, low level structure, those type of things. And I really just wanted to be somewhere in between, where the infrastructure that we've built and we have in place is mainly for the safety of everyone in the house and keeping the house productive. So we have again, our goal, especially even with the housing, is just you have a safe place to come, and so that you can do recovery. Because if you don't have a safe place to live, it starts with home. Right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have a safe place to live, how are you going to thrive? No matter what you're attempting to do. Exactly. So I mean that affects everything: your health, your mental health, your everything, and obviously your recovery as well. So our goal is to that's it. Bare bones. We have a house manager. We have supervision at all of our houses that are there 24/7. Not just one house manager, they're 24/7, but we have live-in help, and then we have our assistant managers. I also have my brother's the director for the facilities. Okay. So he provides oversight. We have a case manager, and with that, I mean we have a curfew like a lot of the other houses. The guys have to do chores, chip in and do chores. That's so that the house doesn't become, especially with us guys, right? It doesn't matter who you are. There's a tendency.
Gotta do a little cleaning.
There's a tendency for like underwear to be hanging from lamps and stuff like that. So we just make sure that we're everybody's chipping in and doing their part. And that's it. Again, we don't want this to be a situation where like, oh, shame on you. You've done this and this, and we know better than you. We're like, hey, you're a grown adult. I know we all have some healing to do. So this is a safe place for you to come and exist and live, and then get that healing that you need.
Do you ever have occasion where you have to ask somebody to leave the cafe or to leave one of the houses?
That's a great question. So the recovery cafe model is, and this is what makes it very unique, is that if we ever have to ask somebody to leave the space, it's for the day. And then you're always welcome to come back the following day, as long as you are, holding up your part of the commitment that you signed when you became a member. And it's only those 3 requirements. So I can honestly tell you, we have had to ask someone to leave and come back one time in the last couple of years. Wow, okay. Yeah, we want to work with people, and give people the benefit of the doubt. So, but I love that. And that was part of the model that really drew me, was that because I had been, I felt like I was ostracized from so many different, recovery type situations and communities that really hurt. And so, the that was a big part of why I started the cafe.
I can see based on what I've been hearing about your philosophy, where it would be very hard to turn somebody away because you want to be so inclusive.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you
Yeah.
have to have some line in the sand,
Yep.
or sometimes people tend to walk all over you.
Yep. Yep. And by all means, it's very likely we've just been blessed with that. We have individuals who have certainly had struggles. We've been able to talk through, and then pull them aside, have a conversation. Again, we're all about loving accountability, and then the situation's fine. It's because the cafe also deals with a lot of or some individuals who are experiencing SMI or serious mental illness, such as schizophrenia or psychosis and things like that. We wouldn't say that we've had a few individuals that were experiencing a significant level of psychosis. We didn't ask them to leave. We simply pulled them aside and called the heart team or or crisis intervention team to come and get them the help that they need. So that's more along the lines of what we do, making a referral to try to get them help instead of just like, hey, shoo, see you later, because
Yeah.
it's not going to do any good. Now at the houses, obviously, they're sober living houses, so individuals are making a commitment in order to live here. Hey, really, you just have to remain free from drugs and alcohol. So that's a case by case situation. So obviously, obviously that's easier said than done for someone who's been struggling with addiction for 20, 30, 40 years, right? So that's really case by case. If somebody comes in and they're just really, we can, you can tell when somebody really, is wanting to get better, or if somebody just, wants some place to lay their head and they don't, care about the rest of the community. So it's really case by case with that. But yeah, again, you're exactly right. Everybody would be walking all over you, and we definitely don't allow that, because we want people to want to be around. We want people to be safe in this community.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, it sounds like you're doing a wonderful job for the recovery community here in Fort Wayne. And I don't know if I've just become more aware of it. Do you feel like the recovery community is becoming a lot stronger?
Oh,
In
definitely. I think there's a lot of initiatives from the state, and the fortunately we've had good leadership and good direction in the state level. So I feel like we've been able to do a lot more, and I think that it's probably directly as a result of the opioid epidemic. So I'm really happy at the initiatives like reducing stigma. Obviously that's what I'm all about. So I'm so happy that, at the state's initiatives, and at, I think a lot of people have wanted to do good work in our community for a long time, and right now we're just very blessed to be and fortunate to be able to, have opportunities to do that, and a lot of good people stepping up. So yeah,
Exactly, exactly. Well, Ryan, I thank you very much for being my guest this evening. This has
yeah,
been wonderful, so very informative.
thank you.
I didn't know a lot of things about Recovery Cafe, so I'm thrilled to have learned, along with everybody else who's been listening,
Yeah,
some new information. It is great to see the recovery community in Fort Wayne having so many great resources available. Hopefully, this information will help get out to people. You run into so many people who either know somebody who needs that help, and
yeah,
they're struggling with what direction do I point them to.
yeah,
So hopefully with this information being out there, we can help keep things going for you, and help get the people that need your help and services directed to you.
yeah.
Thank you
Absolutely.
again. Thanks
Yeah.
for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Good night from On the Level with Linsky. Thank you.
On the
See you
level
next
with
time.
Linsky.